Wow. So before we talk about our Carnival Magic Cruise, let's spoil it a little bit by talking about this week's cruise hero. Who's our cruise
Yes.
hero for this week?
Our cruise hero is Elenita, who is an assistant stateroom attendant from the Philippines. She was so nice. I
Mm-hmm.
met her in the great
The atrium.
atrium. I was just sitting there listening, watching people go by, and
Yeah, hanging out and people watching. Yeah.
exactly, it's a fun activity to do.
Yep.
And she just came up and said hi to me, and we had a conversation.
Yep.
And she was so friendly and sweet. So
Yeah, she was probably possibly the friendliest person on the ship.
and
I
every
met
time
her.
she saw me,
Yep.
she would say hello, my name and your name.
Well, and that's what I was going to say is I met her after you met her, and when I met her, she already knew my name because you had told her my name and she had remembered it. In
Yep.
fact, I was down in the atrium getting a drink or something later without you on a later day, and I was about to get in those glass elevators. And from the distance down past the other elevators, there I saw this person waving me. It was Mr. Dan, Mr. Dan. It was Elenita.
She was so sweet.
Can't say enough good
Yeah.
about Elenita. She was awesome, and we really, we have a great time.
Very hardworking.
Yeah, with yeah, the crew on the cruises are awesome.
Even when
she
they're
was a
working,
standout.
they're so pleasant.
Well, that's usually when I see them when they're working. So yeah, that's amazing.
Exactly.
Then we should mention if you want to nominate a cruise hero, you can do that by putting that. Well, you can put it in the comments below, or you can also email us at info@cruisedayfun.com, which you have running across the bottom there, info@cruisedayfun.com. And let's see. And Sea Lake Journeys is commenting on, I need a cruise hero that will pay for our next cruise. LOL. That's not really the way that works. I like the idea.
You could do a Fund Me account.
What are you guys? Okay. Have you guys been talking? What are you doing?
No.
Okay. Congratulations to the real winner today, Elenita. I couldn't have said it better myself. Way to go. And you make people like you make cruises better than they would be otherwise. We really appreciate.
That's right.
Our cruise heroes. Okay, so now let's get into our main topic for today. We are going to go through. We're going to share our experience on Carnival Magic.
Yes.
What was great, what was maybe not so great. Let's go through category by category, and I'll try to talk. And let's start with the food. One of our favorite topics is cruise food. We got to start with the food. We went to specialty dining for dinner every night.
Mm-hmm.
It was either Prime Steakhouse or Cucina del Capitano.
Mm-hmm.
And let's talk about Prime Steakhouse first. Do you want to start with sharing any pros or cons, anything that you experienced there?
All the food that I had from the Prime Steakhouse was delicious.
Mm-hmm.
Was fantastic. I was thinking I wasn't ordering enough food, but then when I got the food, I thought this is more than enough food.
So plenty of food.
Yes, okay. Plenty of food.
So great experience. We always enjoy the Carnival Steakhouses. You don't have anything in particular negative to say about it? Just
no.
We're trying to give a balanced view, but yep.
I thought it was really delicious, and my steaks were always cooked the way I like it, medium rare.
Yep.
And I had lobster. I had the turf and surf, and
or surf and turf, either way. Yep.
Yep. And
but we'll talk about that more next week. We'll show you the food next week. We want to be sure to do that. I'll just say for Prime Steakhouse, overall the food was really good. One of the nights, we went 3 nights to the steakhouse, and on the second night, I got the cowboy steak, and it was not the best cut. So I'll just say, just to keep things even-handed here, where this isn't just a love letter to Carnival or to Carnival Magic, it was really disappointing. I'd say at least half of the steak was not edible. So the other 2 steaks, I got a ribeye. I guess go with ribeye instead of the cowboy steak, although I've had good cowboy steaks before. And when the server asked if there was something wrong with my steak, when they saw that I hadn't eaten half of it, I said that it was too gristly. and she kind of giggled and took the plate away. So I don't think maybe maybe gristly is not a word that is
Maybe she didn't know what the meaning
yeah, maybe
was.
that's not a word that you learn when you're learning English for a cruise job. So maybe that was the problem there. But that was just the kind of one time where I was just kind of like shrugging my shoulders. But the rest of the time, really great. What about Cucina del Capitano? What did you like, or maybe were a little disappointed in with that? With
I was well. I don't remember what I ordered.
Oh boy. Okay, should I start?
Yeah, you go ahead.
So the food we got at Cucina del Capitano was really good. I think there was one appetizer we got that we didn't really care for. It was like a filled mozzarella thing that was just really bland, and it probably is a traditional item that we just hadn't tried before. But we always like Joy likes to say, we like to try something newer on our cruise.
That tasted like spackle. It was
but here's the thing.
But we tried it.
The manager, the restaurant manager, came over and asked how everything was, and we said, "Oh, it's good. We just didn't like this." And she's like, "What would you like instead?" And she went and replaced it. And we got the little the rice balls that we like.
Ooh, those are so good. The risotto balls.
So from a service standpoint, that was awesome. So to me, that's, even though we didn't like the appetizer, I feel like that's more of a pro. That's more of a positive thing.
And they did that the same with the entree. I wasn't feeling that well, anyways, and the entree was just too much.
Oh yeah, that was the day we
offered to replace it, and I said no.
Yeah, your stomach was a little off that day. Yeah, that was the day we were in Grand Turk, and something hit you that day, and you just weren't feeling good. Yeah. But you were fine the next day and everything, so it was nothing serious. But so your appetite wasn't there. So overall, Cucina del Capitano was very good. We'll comment. I'll share a service comment that kind of applies to both of those restaurants coming up when we get to service. What about the buffet, Lido Marketplace buffet? What did you think of that?
I really had no problems with the Lido Cafe, but I stick to fruit, salad, and maybe some meat sometimes, but I had no problems. I like if they have fruit and if they have salad, I'm good to go.
Yep. And I ate there for lunch some and for breakfast some. I usually go to Blue Iguana for breakfast, so I didn't have as much for breakfast there. But what I had there was good. The breakfast stuff was probably better than the lunch, but I did hear some people saying that the food was pretty much the same every day, which I can't really verify if that's true. I actually saw a couple days they had different things for lunch, so I think they maybe were exaggerating a little bit, but
well, they could go to an omelet station. They could go to.
They got the wok at lunchtime. They got pasta.
There's so many other places they could go to Blue Iguana and get a breakfast burrito.
Or they could go, at lunchtime they can go to the Carnival Deli. So there's a lot of options, but the impression. We'll get into the feedback people had on because we like to talk to people during our cruises and hear them what they think. Like for example, if we were on the ship with Robin and Chet, they would have probably had good things to say. They loved the Carnival Magic, and I believe you can go back and see some videos from Sea Lake Journeys where they're showing their experience from Carnival Magic. So this is just our experience, but we want people to know what it was like in October of 2022.
Yeah, it was so
for
fun.
These two people.
And it was so magical, pardon the pun, because it was during Halloween and everything was decorated for Halloween.
Yep, that was kind of cool.
It was so much
fun. It definitely, especially the first night, it really had a vibe. And we forgot to show that. We dressed up for Halloween, and we forgot to show you that. So let's show them that here. First of all, here's us before we boarded. And you're already in the mood.
I'm ready.
I don't know what's going on.
I'm excited to get a mango daiquiri.
And you got your Halloween attire on the top of your head with your mouse ears, and it looks like you're next to a giant jack-o'-lantern to me.
Oh,
so I don't know what's going on there.
Jack-o'-lantern.
I don't know about that. But let's show them our costumes from that night, because we wore our costumes after dinner on that Halloween night, and we'll see if people can guess. If they can guess either the character name or the movie that either of our characters were from, because both of ours were from totally different movies, completely different movies. But if anyone knows who either of our characters were supposed to be, put it in the comments. Name the movie, name the characters, see if you can get it. But you're right. That did have to give the cruise a very distinctive vibe, especially that first night, because people were in the mood to party.
Yeah, I didn't realize our light was so orange color.
Yeah, the Carnival cabins do tend to have kind of a yellowish, orangish tint to them, so it kind of comes off that way. I didn't put a filter on it, so that's just the way it looked. So anyway, there's that. So that was part of the whole vibe. Let's get back to talking about the food. You mentioned Blue Iguana. Blue Iguana was awesome as always. I tried the tacos, I tried the burritos, I tried the arepas, the huevos rancheros. I tried it all. I didn't ask them if they had a taco salad this time. Did you ever get around to asking them? So
no.
I didn't see anybody with them, so I don't know if they had them. Sometimes
I don't
they
think
have
they
them.
had any.
Yep.
Just because it was a full ship.
Yeah, so I mean that's kind of that's an off menu item. It's kind of like a secret menu item. Sometimes they have it, sometimes they don't. So I can't really knock them for that. Blue Iguana did a great job. Guy's Burgers, we're always saying positive things about Guy's Burgers and how much we want a good Guy's Burger joint. But I will say one thing that I noticed this time that I think is just a training issue, and it partly comes from my restaurant management experience from over 20 years ago. The burgers were drier than usual this time, and I saw why, because the way they teach them, from what I heard Guy Fieri himself say, is that they take the ground beef ball, they put it on the grill, and they smash it down to get good context so it gets good caramelization. But I was standing in line for my burger, and I saw the guy back there, after the burger's been flipped, hitting them again and again and again, so the juice was coming out and evaporating, and that basically dries out the burger. So if you're making a burger at home, if you're trying to make your own Guy's Burger, here's a tip from a guy that used to be in the restaurant business. Press it down one time and let it do its thing. Because otherwise, as it starts to grill and it starts to get juicy, you're just letting the juice out and you're drying out your burger if you keep pressing it. Okay, so that's...
I had a delicious plain Jane, but I forgot to mention that I don't like cheese on my burgers.
Oh, so you got cheese.
I had to go back and say, can I get a normal plain Jane without cheese?
An ultra plain Jane. Yeah. So overall, what did you think of the food on Carnival Magic?
I would say I have no complaints. Everything was good what I ate. So it was all pretty good.
I would agree. I would say it was more apparent that they're being cautious about food waste than in the past. And if you get the emails from Carnival or follow other cruise channels, you probably have heard that too. Other cruise lines are doing the same thing, because food waste is a big thing in cruising. So let's move on to the next category. Let's talk about entertainment on Carnival Magic.
Ooh, entertainment.
So I know one show we went to see together was 88 Keys, which is a popular long-running Carnival playlist production show. What did you think of 88 Keys?
I liked it. It was very reminiscent of a music history of the music that I listened to when I was younger.
Yeah, so in case you don't know, 88 Keys the show is basically, it's a musical show that basically is about piano-based pop and rock music.
Yeah.
So they perform a lot of Billy Joel and other similar piano-based music.
Yeah.
They have another show, I don't remember the name of it, and I only saw part of that show. That's more about guitar rock. It's more of a guitar rock show, so maybe a little newer rock show.
That would have been cool to see.
And that was very, very well done. A lot of great effects and dancing and singing and all that. So very well done. So I don't really have anything bad to say about the shows or any criticisms or anything.
I was impressed. They were very colorful, and the dancing was right on point, and
I agree.
I enjoyed myself.
Yeah. So that's not the only entertainment. If you've been on a cruise before, or Carnival cruise specifically, you may know that there's entertainment all over the ship. Maybe a little bit more musical entertainment at night, but all throughout the day, there's entertainment all over the place. There's the piano bar for one.
Yes.
And we heard before the 88 Keys, we heard the piano entertainer play, and he did a great job.
Yeah.
The Red Frog Pub has live entertainment in it. We didn't really listen for that, but it sounded like it was good. There's entertainment in Ocean Plaza, and they have the electric violinists performing in the atrium.
They're so amazing.
Yeah. The only thing I'll say about that, if I'm looking for something to say, that I don't like the layout as much on the Carnival ships where they put the entertainers, like the violinists, above the staircase, above the atrium bar, because you can hear them, but I kind of enjoy sitting and watching them perform, like we did on Carnival Liberty or on Mardi Gras. So it just the layout of the staging, that's just it's a different experience. I guess you could stand there on the upper deck and watch them from the rail, but not quite the same thing. It was really nice. On Mardi Gras, the brass magnolia, they had the violinist, and they're performing all the time. That was very fun.
Really cool.
So overall, a lot of great entertainment. So any other
thumbs up?
Okay, thumbs up. We'll move on. Activities. Let's talk about activities, indoor activities like trivia, karaoke, stuff like that. What did you think about that? I don't know that I really participated. Oh, I did try to participate in one trivia, but why don't you go first?
I was so surprised to find out that they had a Harry Potter trivia.
And one of us knows a lot about Harry Potter. Guess what? It's not me.
And that was fun. The other thing was they had an adult coloring session.
Oh,
and
Randy.
Yeah, and I happened to get 2 of the coloring books. And I brought them home. So I've been working on them.
Yeah. Should I mention the truth about that?
They offered them for us.
It's kind of like that you can buy liquor if there's 2 of you. If the man wants 2 bottles or the woman wants 2 bottles, 2 liters of liquor, you can get 2 because it's 1 per person. Well, I also got 2 coloring books. So you got 4. Let's call it what it is. So anyway,
that was very generous. I was able to bring it home and share it with some of my coworkers.
Yeah.
They appreciated it.
I can't believe Carnival billed us $18 a piece for those things when we got home. Just kidding. It was a joke. Oh my gosh. So fun activities. And a lot of times they'll supply
he does to me.
Yeah, I do stuff like that too. Drive me crazy. So they supply, it's like the what's it called? Make It With Michael's or something like that, where they'll supply the craft supplies. I don't think we did that this time.
Michael's or Joanne Fabrics.
Well, no, it's Michael's. Let's not promote a different company than the one they have the agreement with. It's Michael's.
Sorry, Michael's.
Oh boy, Michael's is crying now. So Michael's, and they bring in supplies to do a little craft. I don't know I'm trying to think what they were specifically.
Is it Michael's or is it
Michelle's? It's Michael's. Oh Lord, help us. Let's move on. So. Aside from the indoor activities like trivia, karaoke, different. Oh, and I was going to mention the trivia I did. I thought, with all the videos we do on Carnival, I think we've done close to 100 videos on Carnival.
Right.
When they had the 50th anniversary Carnival trivia, I thought, this will be up my alley.
Right.
No, I thought I would get better than half the questions right for once, because usually I go and do Friends trivia and I get 3 right. Joey and Charles, right? That's their names. I don't know. So
Charles,
he's in charge. So I sat down to do the trivia. You were off getting a coffee or something, and I started doing it. And the guy doing the trivia, he was very nice, and he apologized up front, but he had such a thick accent, it was almost impossible.
Sure.
You heard him. It was almost impossible. And other people were giving up too. And I gave up after 4 questions. And honestly, some of the questions I don't think really belong in the category from what I could tell. Because anyway, trivia can be fun, but it could be really tricky. Because they had Golden Girls trivia too. And that was
oh, this is something I could do.
Yeah, but Golden Girls better than I do. But I think we gave up on that one after 5 questions too.
Yeah.
Pretty challenging, but if you want to challenge yourselves, try the trivia. So if you're looking for outdoor activities, maybe something a little more physical, they've got, of course, the Carnival Waterworks. They've got the mini golf, the sports court, a lot of great activities to do on this Carnival ship. It's a bigger Carnival ship.
They also had a pickleball game tournament.
Oh.
Which I was surprised to see.
Well, pickleball is becoming very popular.
Yeah.
So also they have not 1 but 2 casinos on the ship. So That's if you're a big gambler, you like the casinos. That's a great thing about the Carnival Magic. Unlike most of the ships, it's got two casinos. The main one on deck 5, where you can smoke, and then there's a smaller one on deck 4 where it's a no smoking. So it's a
No
smaller
smoking.
space, but if you want to get away from the smoke, you want a quieter space to hit the slot machines and the tables, head to deck 4.
Yeah.
So overall, the activities, what'd you think?
I thought there was always something going on, and that's what I like. So
Very
I
good.
approve.
Good.
Thumbs up.
Okay. Okay. Let's move on to the bars. Now, this one, I don't know. Oh boy. Okay. Let's start off with the Red Frog Pub.
Oh, that was always nice and quiet.
Well, when you were there, it actually, you're right. It even in the evenings, it wasn't as busy as some other bars, like the Alchemy Bar, which I was going to go to, but it always seemed to be busy. It's out kind of in the Ocean Plaza, whereas the Red Frog Pub, like as on other ships, is enclosed. And I think people just saw it and would walk up and grab a bar stool, whereas the Red Frog Pub was quieter than I would expect for a really kind of fun, homey, Caribbean kind of theming. I went in there and got drinks a couple times, but I really enjoyed it. I recommend the Red Frog Pub. It's a great place to go. The Alchemy Bar is my past experience. It's always good drinks, but I gotta say we didn't try it this time.
I went to the casino bar a lot because that was the only bar that had Diet Mountain Dew or Diet Sierra Mist.
Sierra Mist Zero, yeah. Yeah, because we got the bubbles, which remind me, we'll talk about the bubbles plan in a minute when we get to service and that sort of thing. So there's bars all over the ship. There's plenty of places to go. There's 3 pool bars. There's a Red Frog rum bar, and that's the more popular bar by the pools, as it is on other ships I've been on. And there's the poor little Blue Iguana tequila bar that they're not even putting them on the newer ships. I think it's just a matter of time before they do away with the tequila bar. But
oh really?
Yeah, it's just not as
popular.
It's not as popular for some reason, which I know. It's got a cute little iguana for a mascot. I don't know why people wouldn't like it. And then my favorite of the pool bars is the aft pool bar, the Tides Tides bar, which tends to be a little quieter if you're looking for an outdoor bar.
I agree.
Again, I mentioned the casino, the non-smoking casino on deck 4, the smaller of the 2 casinos, has a bar in it. It's a great spot to go to get a drink if the other bars are really busy.
Yeah.
Head to deck 4 to the casino bar.
I did see it a couple times and I was like, oh.
But you never saw a time where all the bar stools were full. And there's only like maybe 8 bar stools at the most.
Yeah.
So it was, the bartender's busy enough filling orders for the servers, but it doesn't take long to get a drink there. So I would recommend going to the non-smoking casino bar on deck 4 if you were looking for a drink, but it's busy.
Yep.
So overall, the bars,
thumbs up.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
So let's talk about service now. We've talked about different venues and that sort of thing, but let's talk about the interactions we had with the crew. And here's where I wanted to come back to the cruise, whether it's Carnival or another cruise line, in our experience, is always one of the best parts of going on a cruise, because they're always so awesome. They're human. Sometimes some are better trained, but generally speaking, the crews do a great job.
Usually they will go bend over backwards to help you.
Usually, yes.
Yeah, usually.
Yes. And for the most part, the crew we dealt with on Carnival Magic did a great job and had a great attitude and that sort of thing. Yep. But one thing we noticed a little bit that was a little different, was kind of a strange interaction we had a couple times, and that was the specialty restaurants at Prime Steakhouse and at Cucina del Capitano. Of those 5 nights we had reservations, 2 of the nights, one in each of those restaurants, they had no clue who we were. They lost a reservation. We prepaid for it and everything, but the other nights they had it.
Yeah, it was really strange. We would go up and tell them our name, and then I'd see them writing down our name, and then we were waiting. We end up being the last people to be seated, and when everyone else got seated, and they're like, "Oh, you guys haven't been seated," and we're like, "Yeah, that's correct." They said, "What's your name?" And we'd say our name again. And he's like, "Well, we can't find you at all." And I'm like, I know, I just saw you write it down. How can you not?
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, and a little bit more with that. I gotta say hi to CME Traveling is visiting us, and also we got Mom. Mom is here. Good to see you, Mom.
Hi,
We're
Mom.
just booking flights to go visit Mom in Ohio for Christmas earlier today. So we're looking forward to that.
We are.
I wanted to say yes, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's been too long, but anyway, we're getting off topic.
Yes.
I wanted to say that the experience, and we hesitate to mention some of these things because, and I don't really want to call this a review because some of these things, it's just our experience, and it might sound a little nitpicky, and I don't want to do that. But what happened at Cucina del Capitano one night when they didn't have a reservation, we were there. We were probably like the third couple there, and they had sat everybody, those people, and they were calling out this room number, and it wasn't ours. And then she had a whole line of people that showed up later or didn't have reservations or whatever, and they're starting to gather around the podium. And she kind of hollered over to us and said, "Well, wait, what is your room number? You're not 7419?" I'm like, "No." And she had me come up to the podium in front of all these people who are waiting and kind of was questioning me about my room number. When did I make my reservation? All these things. And she brought somebody else over, and it turned into kind of, if I was a more timid, shyer person, I would have found it really embarrassing to be standing in front of all these people. For me, I just was like surprised that this is the way they would handle this. So that's one thing. And the other thing is, and I kind of alluded to it, at both of the specialty restaurants, we in the past had noticed that they refer to us by name. And if we come back a second time during the cruise, they're like, "Oh, welcome back." This time we were never referred to by name. We were referred to by our cabin number at both the restaurants all 5 nights.
Yeah, it was very awkward and impersonal.
Right. And my guess is that during the transition we recently had, or something happened where they changed their computer setup to where it's not by name, but it's by room number. And now it just has this very impersonal effect.
Yeah.
So that's kind of disappointing.
Very odd.
So crew interactions. Any other crew interactions we should mention?
Our room attendant, anytime he saw either Dan or I, he was always very friendly and smile.
Yep.
So
and to my point I was just making about our name not being used, which to me isn't a big deal. It's just a nice touch. I'm not like, I'm not going to go there again because I didn't say Dan. No, it's not like that. It's just always been very different than going to the Red Lobster down the street. Right. They'll say your name when we're on a cruise. And Benny, our room attendant, room steward, always said our name. He went out of his way to say your name, which is something we've been used to in past cruises. But also, besides him, the only other person I can remember ever saying our name or acting like they remembered us at all was Elenita.
And Clive. He was also a room attendant on our floor.
Oh, he's somebody that you interacted with because you got lost one time or something, right?
No, every time he was like,
he knew your name.
He knew my name.
Wow.
Every time I walked by on floor 8, he would see me in the hallway. He'd say, "Hi, Miss Joy."
Wow.
So
I don't know. I think he was flirting with you because he never said, "Hi, Mr. Dan." So speaking of saying hi, I'm going to say hi to Susan Kilstrom. Great to have you with us. We are just talking about our experience a little over a week ago on Carnival Magic and the different experiences we had. So overall, what should we say about the overall Carnival experience, the service, anything about what it's like now compared to in the past? I have a few thoughts, but go ahead if you want to start.
I would say the service is still really good. It's just they seem to have lost their friendliness, their acknowledging of us as passengers.
Well, and you're kind of referring partly to that thing about them not using the names in the restaurants, at least the specialty restaurants.
That's a big thing, I think.
It is a thing, but also I think this ship, like Mardi Gras, is a bigger ship than the other Carnival ships we've been on.
Right.
And I think that there's something to that it's harder for them to remember the names, and that there's more, from what I saw from statistics, there's more passengers per crew member on Carnival Magic than on some of the smaller ships we've been on. So that's got to make it harder.
Yeah.
But The other things I do want to point out, and there have been some discussion about how Carnival's raising the prices on things, and there's like the big controversy about how they're charging $5 in the main dining room if you want a third entree. And I'm a big guy, but I've never asked for a third entree, so that doesn't really bother me. Plus, we usually go to specialty dining, but some people are really upset about that, so I get that. We did notice some of those other things. Speaking of specialty dining restaurants, the steakhouse, I guess, went up from $45 to $48 a person. So again, it's inflation. I get it, but I understand why some people are upset by that. We did notice a little bit of that on board, not a lot, but one thing that I pointed out to you, I think, when we were on board is when they do the dive-in movies. They in the past you'd get popcorn while you're doing it, but now they charge $3 a bag or box for popcorn if you want popcorn. Which not a big deal, $3 compared to, I mean, that's it costs 3 times that much for a drink, but still, it's like you can tell they're looking for places to charge a little more than they used to. Which they're recovering and they're the company's in debt, so I get it.
They did have a good sale on ponchos, so this is one of the ponchos
that's
that I got for $10.
Yep. What else? I had a reminder on here about the Hub app. I'm trying to remember.
Oh, the Hub app was pretty good to use. So you could always see the activities, and you could heart which ones that you wanted to do, and see which ones your spouse was doing.
Yeah, you can see the little +1 or the heart when you heart it or whatever. So yeah, we do like the Hub app. That's really good. We did use the Hub app on this cruise, like we did the last cruise, on one occasion to order room service. It's kind of confusing to me because I think you can still just call in and order room service, but there's certain things you can just order on the Hub app, which like pizza and chicken tenders and certain things like that.
Ooh, the pizza was so good.
Pizza was good.
So good.
But yeah, so service overall, I would say if I was comparing the service to past Carnival cruises, I would say it's almost as good. I'm going to say that compared to, maybe it's pretty close to what we experienced on Mardi Gras. But if I think back to our first Carnival cruise, or even to our first cruise this year on Carnival Conquest, I feel like the service on the smaller ships is better. And so maybe that's not something that's changed. Maybe it's just a difference in size of ships. Okay?
Yeah.
Speaking of the size of the ship, let's move on to talk about the fellow passengers, because that was a big part of our experience. It definitely felt like there was more people on board this particular sailing.
They got spoiled with the pre-COVID sales.
The sailings that started when cruising resumed, they were at lower capacity, and we were on a couple sailings like on Carnival Conquest. There were fewer; they weren't at full capacity.
Yeah.
This sailing, they were at least 100%. I would say, maybe a little more. Crowd size, it seemed like there was a wide variety of people from all walks of life, which I always find enjoyable, especially if you have a chance to interact with other people. But it seemed like there was people everywhere. There was no escaping the crowds. So it's just a bigger ship, so be aware of that.
Be aware.
Interactions that I had personally, like if I'm going, sometimes Joy and I will be going and doing different things, whether we're on the elevator together or separately. That's the time where, and other people have cruised before can probably relate to this, where especially if it's not a packed elevator, or if there's just one other person, this is when you check in and say, how's your cruise going? You having a good time? Maybe get a chance to compare notes or get a tip from them. And at least twice, the feedback I got from the person on the elevator was, I don't like the food. I don't like the food. And I heard one person a lady who said, and this was like this, couldn't have been later than the second day on the cruise, and she said, I'm having a good time, but I hate all of the food. And that's a quote.
Wow.
And to me, it was too short of an elevator ride and conversation to get into it. So I don't know what she's used to, but to me, I would say there's so much to choose from that you can find good food if you really want to. Yeah. But I was surprised to hear that from a lot of people, including the comments we heard about the buffet being a lack of choices. So that, there was some kind of attitudes about that or opinions about that. Any other interactions with fellow passengers that come to mind, good or indifferent or otherwise?
Well, I had a kind of scary incident where I saw this drunk gentleman on our floor, and he was walking, and all of a sudden he started kicking doors, and that really scared me because
Who was just walking down the corridor, kicking random doors.
Right, and he was obviously very drunk.
Yeah.
So I was able to find a room attendant, and I said, "Could you walk with me because I'm a little bit scared to walk by this gentleman because I don't know what he's going to do." And he's like, "Oh, you can do it fine." And I'm like, "No, I want you to help me walk with me past this gentleman because he is being
acting strange,
uncharacteristically human."
Wow.
I don't know.
That's the title of your next book. Uncharacteristically human. So eventually he agreed to help you.
Yes.
But then he got distracted by another passenger needing something.
Yep.
And so
he left me.
And he abandoned you.
He abandoned me right before I was going to go buy this.
So here's two examples of things we've talked about. One is the crew members in the past would not hesitate to help with a request as random as that might seem, and as kind of not really part of their normal duties as something like that is. Most crew members we've dealt with in the past would be like very happy to be sure that a passenger feels comfortable and safe. And I was in the room just I don't know what, watching the ship cam or whatever, I don't know, and had no idea this is going on. But so as far as the drunk passengers go, unfortunately that happens. Yeah. So yeah. Anything else? I guess we got to also talk about this. So a couple unfortunate things happened that yeah. So you may have experienced something like this before if you've cruised, or maybe even if you stayed in a hotel. But I don't think it was Halloween night, but the second night maybe at 2:30 in the morning, we woke up to screaming and yelling. It had to have been like 10 people out in the corridor, just a few doors down from us.
2:30 in the morning was really.
Yeah. And I that night I happened to be sleeping with earplugs in, and that didn't matter. I woke up from the noise, and you woke up, and I peeked out the peephole to see what was going on. And I guess they locked themselves out of the door, but it went on for at least half an hour.
Oh, at least.
Yeah. And so that was unfortunate.
It went on for a long time.
So that could probably happen on any cruise, but I think probably somebody was overserved. We'll get out of the way. Another experience we had with fellow passengers that was very disappointing, I guess I'd say, is we got onto a very crowded elevator, which is an unusual on a cruise, but it felt a little weird because it felt like the party was going on in the elevator, like everybody knew everybody except for ourselves. And before we got off the floor, on the next floor, we noticed a smell, and one of the passengers in the back of the elevator was smoking on the elevator.
I know. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. So that was a little disappointing that something like that had happened. So maybe this is because it was a Halloween cruise. This is a 5-night cruise, longer than, some of the shorter cruises sometimes have more of a party atmosphere, a little more of a booze cruise feel. But for a 5-night cruise, I would say this is the one that felt most like an out of control party atmosphere.
Right. That was my first time of someone actually smoking in the elevator when there are other people around.
Yep. So we're just sharing that, and we want to point out that we had interactions with plenty of other passengers who we had great discussions with. There was a lady at Cucina del Capitano who happened to she was traveling alone because her husband at the last minute couldn't go on the cruise, and we had a great conversation with her. Although, come to think of it, she was talking about how she was disappointed in the food too. Not Cucina del Capitano, but the cruise in general. So, yeah.
And I spoke to the couple on our first night that happened to be sitting next to us, and we got a free bottle of wine, and I thought it was just a free glass of wine. So I was surprised that I had this whole bottle of wine to drink. And I'm not much of a wine drinker. So
you're not a big wine drinker, yep.
So I finished maybe half of my glass. And I'm like, Dan, I don't think I can finish this bottle. And I hate for it to go to waste. So I don't know. You were talking or looking at the menu or something. So I offered this lady next to me my bottle of wine, and she said, "Are you sure? Are you sure you don't want any?" I'm like, "I'm positive." So she was very sweet to take my bottle of wine.
Well, it's very sweet of you to offer it. So anyway, we had good interactions with passengers as we did with the crew. There were just unfortunately a couple incidences that we want to share because we really want to be positive, but we also don't want to candy coat things, sugar coat things, whatever the saying is, and have people go on a cruise and be like, "Why didn't you tell us that there's going to be people smoking in the elevator potentially, or that they're now going to refer to us by our cabin number at the restaurant?" I mean, want you to let you know really what it's like, but we want to highlight the good.
I think the smoking in the elevator is a one-off.
Yeah, I would hope that doesn't happen very often, just mostly because that's really unsafe on a cruise ship. So anyway, let's summarize and wrap this up. Overall impressions of the ship. The cabin we had, I was going to do a cabin tour, and I ended up not doing that, so I don't have that for you guys. I don't even know if I took any pictures of the cabin, but I'll say our cabin was an aft cabin, and it was a cabin in the corner. I guess I wouldn't recommend that cabin. It has a very large balcony, so if you're all about the balcony, it's great because the balcony is probably 6 times as wide as any other balcony.
I think I was on the balcony once.
Yeah, well, it was. Anyway, the cabin itself, the layout wasn't the best. We had a corner aft cabin on Carnival Sunshine, which was it was much roomier. This one was very tiny, and by having that cabin, we lost the little couch that you normally get. Instead, we got a tiny little chair instead.
And it was not a comfortable chair.
No, we didn't. We ended up not sitting in it at all. So that was not the best cabin. But for cabins in general, based on our cabin, I would say that as a ship that is now 11 years old, the curtains, the fixtures, it's starting to get a little dated. Not as dated as some of the other ones that we've seen, but it's starting to show its age. There were like pinhole holes in the blackout curtains in our cabin that noticed light coming in. Yeah, it wasn't that obvious. You didn't notice it, I guess. But there's like little signs of wear, and you saw that kind of around the ship. But overall, pretty well kept. And they were doing a lot of maintenance on the ship. As we were getting off the ship, I remember seeing them carry the wooden rail out of one of the cabins they must have taken it somewhere to get it sanded or something. So just like in the past, they're always working very hard on the ship, painting it and everything. But it is an 11-year-old ship, so it's kind of getting that point where it's probably due for another dry dock or something. Well, yeah, you got spoiled with Mardi Gras.
Yeah,
Mardi Gras had the glass doors.
Yeah.
So that's the cabin. Public areas, generally the public areas, aside from being very crowded, the only thing I didn't like, and I guess maybe I'm showing my age here, if you could find, like on a port day when the public area wasn't as crowded, and you would go there and find a quiet spot to read or whatever you wanted to do, just have some quiet time, have a conversation, play a game, is they still had the piped in music playing so loud. And I got to be honest, it's music I would change the station if it came on my car radio. So not really crazy about how the noise level. I wish there was more places to escape. But speaking of escape, my favorite place to go is next to a room called, what's it called? Games and Cards room, something like that on deck 4.
Like this little tiny bar, forgotten
right?
Bar.
But not the card room, but right next to it there's a bar, a tiny little bar called the Escape Bar. No piped in music. It's just black and red. It's kind of very dark. But we went in there and it was super air conditioned and super quiet because no one else is in there, and we played Friends Trivia, I think.
Friends Trivia, it was nice.
So that was nice.
Yeah.
So we really enjoyed that. The layout.
We overall, bought the game Friends Trivia.
Yep. Yeah. Yes. You like to bring games along. And to overall wrap up, and then I want to answer some questions. The layout of the ship, for a bigger ship, the layout was pretty good. There were some things that were kind of strange, like Guy's Pig and Anchor I planned on doing, but with it being outside and also not being open a lot of time, that was only very, like, it seemed like only sea days where they open to serve lunch or whatever. It maybe isn't as convenient, because even if you, unless you wanted to eat outside, once you got the food on that deck, I want to say it was deck 5, you go back inside, there was some places you could sit, but not a lot. So it wasn't very conducive to being a good area to sit at. The sushi bar was also kind of like that. It was just kind of in a corridor in a public hallway, and you'd walk up and get your order. You get a pager, you take your food, and then you have to figure out where to go eat it. So it's kind of, for a ship that size, it'd be nice if they took a little space to put in a bonsai sushi or something like that.
Yeah, because when there was a bonsai sushi, we went there a lot, and it was busy.
But we didn't go to the sushi place once here on the ship, because it was just this kind of random stand out in the middle of the hallway, just down from the casino, I think, or somewhere like that.
Yeah.
So overall, any last impressions over the thoughts about Carnival Magic?
So just also like the Guy's Burger Shack, you had to actually want to go to that, because it seemed to be out of the way hidden, even though it was on the aft.
Which one are you talking about?
Guy's Burger Joint. You had to definitely look for it.
Well, that was by the pool. Are you thinking of Seafood Shack?
No, I'm talking about Guy's Burger.
What was by the pool?
I could not find it until somebody.
Well, you needed your buddy, Craig, the room attendant, to help you out, since your husband was apparently somewhere else. So so the layout of the ship was a little different than what we're used to, and that might have been a part of it. But let's go. That's basically our overall impressions. Next week, what we want to do is show you the food that we enjoyed, so you can see actual examples. I didn't get a chance to put together little video clips or images for today, but I want to do that. Let's go through. I've got a couple questions I want to answer. I know Robin and Chet mentioned that they appreciate us being honest about our experience. And they're saying that they think that Halloween is becoming like spring break. And yeah, it kind of felt like that. It kind of felt like it was a spring break kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And I guess we thought we'd be safe going on a 5-night cruise, since the cruise is longer, 5 nights, 7 nights, whatever, tend to not have as much of a party vibe, or at least not as crazy of a vibe. But I think that Halloween thing made a difference.
Yep.
Susan, I'll let you answer this question first if you want to. Susan Kilstrom is asking, which ship has been our favorite? Do you have a favorite out of the ones we've been on?
Oh my goodness! Well,
and let's start with Carnival specifically.
So I will say this is the ship that is no longer, because it's been renamed the Triumph. We had a wonderful experience, because that was our first cruise, and that was our honeymoon cruise, and that's where we really fell in love with cruising.
Yep.
And we thought it was awesome. At that time, there was no specialty dining or no
Guy's Burger Joint even.
No Guy's Burger.
Yep.
But we had a fun time.
Yep. So for me, I'll say for Carnival, I'll say that my favorite Carnival ship by far was a very unique ship in the Carnival fleet, and that's Carnival Sunshine, which cruises, I believe, still out of Charleston, South Carolina. And what makes it so special is because it was a ship that they were kind of testing some new concepts, and some of the concepts that they have on other ships, even bigger ships now, came from there. Like they have Cucina del Capitano, they had Gigi Asian Kitchen, they have the Havana bar in Havana area.
Oh, we like the Havana
Bonsai
area.
Sushi.
Yeah.
And so it's for a small ship, it's dedicated a lot of spaces to, specialty and kind of fun little dining and activity areas. So we really like that one. Did you have a favorite other than Carnival, or a favorite overall?
I really liked Mardi Gras.
You like Mardi Gras? Well, that's Carnival too. So
yeah, I really like Mardi Gras.
Okay, so let's move on. We're about out of time, so we need to move on. And let's see. Susan is asking if the Magic has Shaq's chicken. The Shaq's Big Chicken is only on the what's it called, Excel class ships right now, and so that's Mardi Gras. It'll be on Carnival Celebration and Carnival Jubilee. But they also have it on, what is it, Radiance? There's one other ship it's on, but no, it's not on Carnival Magic. But as our dog's over here making noise in the corner and we're running out of time, we need to wrap things up. So we just want to thank you for watching. And we want to mention again that next week we're going to be showing you the food we enjoyed on Carnival Magic.
Yes.
So be sure to tune in next Saturday, November the 19th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time to watch live, or you can watch in the replay. But if you watch live, you can ask questions and interact with us.
Yes.
And help us make the show what it can be by participating. So we hope you join us live. We always appreciate you guys tuning in. And I don't know, anything else we should say?
Thanks for watching. We really appreciate you.
Thanks for watching. Now I got to find how to stop. Thanks for watching.